As soon as she moved in, Mary set out to renovate the White House. In truth, it was badly in need of it, since it was quite run down at this point. The problem was that this was during the Civil War. If she'd been the First Lady in peacetime, I think she would have been very successful. After all, she was friendly, engaging, she loved hosting parties, and she only wanted to make friends and influence people for her husband. Unfortunately, during the war, it wasn't just a time for socializing and making political allies. She spent the entire congressional allotment for renovations for the 4 years within a few months, and thus she requested that her husband requisition more money from Congress. He was able to do so, but very reluctantly, because soldiers needed blankets, and it seemed awfully frivolous to be redecorating the White House and getting fine china and wallpaper at such a time. It was also viewed as rather out of touch with what was happening in the nation. But there was a method to her madness. In getting new china, she had it emblazoned with the U.S. insignia, including 2 gold threads interwoven around the borders, signifying that the North and South would still be together. She saw the White House as a symbol of American strength, the unity of the nation. If the president's home was falling apart, how could the nation hope to stay together? She certainly meant well in everything she was attempting to do. She did influence fashion a great deal. She wore huge hoop skirts and dresses which had a lot of lace on them and flowers. She was famous for wearing flowers in her hair and all over her dress. Again, her fashion was viewed as a little on the extreme side in these difficult times, but the popularity of the huge hoop skirt in the 1860s can largely be attributed to Mary Lincoln. Mary had a great weakness for jewelry, and you can see that she's wearing beautiful, often matching jewelry in most of her photographs. She would often buy this jewelry on credit, which left her in a great deal of debt after her husband died, and she had to return some of the jewelry. But famously, on one of their anniversaries, Abe purchased a beautiful piece of jewelry from the new jewelry store Tiffany & Company's for his wife. In 1862, the Lincoln's son, Willie, tragically died at the age of 12, making him the only child to die in the White House. This plunged Mary into a great bout of despair, and she was too grief-stricken to attend his funeral or to look after Tad, or to even leave her quarters for many months. Abe even had to have a nurse to take care of her for a while, and this was a great contributor to her increasing melancholy. Lincoln himself was also greatly disturbed by this death and was viewed as much more melancholy after this. Throughout her life, Mary suffered from frequent headaches and dizzy spells, which are considered could have been a result of some kind of anemia. In 1863, she was in a carriage accident and hit her head, which made these headaches worse and more frequent. Abe loved Mary very dearly. Many of his political opponents and historians since then have considered that his political career may have been hindered by Mary, because she would sometimes advise him to do things which were ill-advised. She wanted so much to be involved in his political decisions, and he usually humored her. He would discuss matters with her a great deal, and he even put her in charge of minor appointments. She wrote many letters with these appointments on the war stationery, which was not regarded as a good thing to do. But in so doing, acting under the name of the president and making some of these appointments and decisions without consulting other groups, she helped establish what would continue going forward as political power of the president to make certain appointments and decisions without having to consult others. Mary was a very generous woman who was devoted to the cause of the contrabands, who were slaves who had escaped. She gave money to them and helped establish them and secretly set up charities to assist them. She would go and visit the soldiers in hospitals, bringing fruit and flowers to them, writing letters for them to their loved ones, and tending to their wounds. She would often accompany her husband to visit the troops and giving them inspiring speeches. Sadly, she didn't know how to use the press in a way to make them write about things like that. The people didn't often hear about these things she did, these great contributions she made to supporting the nation during these difficult times. They only saw her extravagant spending,